We're here today working on the 26 Ducati Desmo 450. Hey guys, welcome to another Race Spec episode presented by Racetech and Motorsport.com. Check out all of the things you need for suspension over at Racetech and Motorsport.com. Get you just about anything else you need. We've had a great day here, first day on it. We've got some pretty good settings. We worked closely with Showa technicians on the suspension. Tony Caroli was a huge help today, helping with some other setup stuff that we'll jump into. So when you pick one of these up, available in August in the States, you're gonna want to have a listen to this because we're gonna get you down the road a good bit. So what they recommend initially for sag on this thing is anywhere between 102 and 105. My recommendation is stay closer to 102, stay on the low side of that. That's where I found a lot of comfort. Forks, they come, this is gonna be really big for setup. They come 5 millimeters down from the cap, where the cap hits the fork tube itself. That is too far down. Take it to 2. This was kind of a common theme today. Everybody felt like the front end was a little low. I went flush with the cap at first, then it was a little too high. Tony told me at the start of the day that 2 millimeters was probably where I was gonna end up, and he was right. 2 millimeters down from where the cap meets the fork. That was the happy place for that. That's a very important part of setting this thing up. Small changes on this made a huge difference today. Whether it's one click here or there, a millimeter or two, you will feel a difference. And this was the sweet spot, so 2 millimeters. Standard clicker settings. I didn't change compression or rebound in this all day. We didn't have a ton of bumps, so we might need to kind of come back and revisit this, but I think as a general catch-all, it's pretty good. You might go 2 clicks softer, 2 clicks stiffer, depending on the dirt and track you're on and how you ride, but even just standard positions and be pretty close with that fork height, so check that out. The shock, again, sag at 102, and that's critical. If that gets lower or higher than that, I feel like you're gonna change the balance of the motorcycle. And then the only change I made all day, again, we talked about maybe opening up rebound a little bit, but we had a lot of grip. If it got loose, they did recommend maybe 1 or 2 clicks open on the rebound, just to kind of get a little more rear end grip. But what we did was went in a 1/4 of a turn on the high speed. It just kind of helped it settle a little bit in the back, like lift it up into a nice spot. Again, some of that could be changed. If you're a guy who rides way forward, maybe you don't need it. If you ride back, maybe you go in a 1/2 a turn. Just keep that in mind, that if you're trying to adjust, fine tune where that ride height is in the back, that high speed compression adjuster is gonna be your friend. 1/4 of a turn from standard. Traction control, this comes with a fob that's got traction control, quick shift, launch control, and a couple of different maps. The maps for us, because these are pre-production bikes, is a little bit different than what you guys are gonna have on the production motorcycle. We came with 2, sort of a standard and an aggressive. To be honest, they weren't too different. I didn't notice too much of a difference between the 2 of them today. Probably preferred the standard just because we had a ton of grip. I was fighting wheeling all day long. Quick shift, which I don't normally like, I thought did work okay. It worked great on really fast sections where the motor was wound up and loaded. It worked perfectly. The problem is when I'm catching shifts through turns, out of turns, and I didn't expect it to cut off. It's still just hard for me to get used to, but I think that their technology is probably better than anything else out there at the moment. The traction control, this is something that I was torn on. I did like the way that it worked, and this is different than anybody else's. It's sort of proprietary technology these guys have been developing. But for me, it made it run a little bit dirty down low, and I would get some pops here and there because it's sensing wheel spin when I'd hit bumps and the wheel would come off the ground. It just kind of made it feel like it wasn't running clean. So I preferred it off and just do it with the throttle. Again, I wasn't on real slippery conditions today. There was pretty good grip, so it's just something you got to play with. And then the launch control I actually did like. Works better than most others. We did a bunch of starts today, and I felt like that was something you should definitely play with and try, so check that out. Couple other little things. The gripper seat that comes as an option, I highly recommend. I was sliding all over on this seat today. I feel like from the pocket to where the seat meets the tank, there's a lot of downslope. Something they're gonna probably have to adjust moving forward, because it kind of keeps wanting to slide you back from where you want to be in that pocket. Maybe if you're a taller guy, you won't have an issue with that. It was a struggle for me a little bit today. I'd go to a gripper seat that's got some ribs. I think that would solve a lot of my problems. And then also there's no waffle on these grips, which for me, I just am not a fan of that. I always run a half waffle, so I felt like I couldn't really get a good grip on these, and I was holding on tight and getting arm pump. Personal issues, you might like it, you might not, but just something to be aware of. Other than that, I think the gearing's great. Some of the guys that wanted a little more hit down low said they would add a tooth to the rear. I'm not a real big fan of doing that. I think that the lower you can keep the RPMs, the better the bike's gonna handle. Maybe if you're a 250-pound dude, maybe, but I just don't think you're gonna need it. Everything else comes really squared away and well made on these things. You're not gonna have to go buy any other parts. They're really, really proud about this thing coming ready to race. I mean, just one glance over this thing and you can see that they've kind of nailed that. Really, it's just gonna come down to setup. And like I said, you start with some of those things I mentioned on here, you're gonna be in the ballpark, and then you can just fine tune with a click here or there. So we're gonna have more with this thing, obviously, when we get one back stateside late summer. And it'll be interesting to see how this does in our shootout compared to all the other brands. So stick around for that, come back, and we'll also build one into a project later on this year. So huge thank you to Ducati for having us over. If you guys have any questions, you can always shoot us a DM and we'll answer those for you if we can. And as always, if you need any kind of resources for spring rates for your weight, go over to Racetech. They've got all that free on their website. And those folks are really helpful if you've got suspension questions that you just can't get answered. They will answer them for you. And any parts you need, gear, anything to go riding and racing, get over to motorsport.com. Those guys will send it straight to your house. You don't even have to get your fat butt off the couch. It's a great deal. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks to those guys who support us, and we'll see you next time. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos, comment what you thought, and share it with your friends.